Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to do a run through of setting up a Python script to run a query against BigQuery using Google Cloud Run. So let's get straight into it. So this is just what BigQuery looks like, but we're actually going to go over to Google Cloud Functions and start. And click Google Cloud Run Functions. This is where we'll make the actual function, so where the code and everything goes. Create new function, and then you get this screen. Yes, we want Cloud Run. I'll just give it a name. YouTube run SQL query sounds sensible. The region, leave it as default. Trigger type HTTPS is fine. We are going to leave require authentication, that's what we want to have. In the additional settings, what I'm going to do, I'm not sure how long it actually needs to run, so I'm going to up that to 10 minutes, 600 seconds. And yeah, the maximum is 1 concurrent. I'm going to say the maximum instances is 1 as well. And compute engine, so that all sounds good. And then click next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write this in Python, so this is what I'm going to select over here and choose Python 3.12. Okay. And I think I have some template code over here on my blog post. So I'm just going to copy this across. Into here. And what I'm going to do is change the entry point. So the entry point needs to be the function that you want to run, which is this create BigQuery function. I'm going to put that in there, and I also need the name of the package to go in the requirements. So I'm not sure what that one actually does, but I'll just add it, that's fine. So what is the query actually doing? What I'll do is I will create a new query. So what I'll do, I'll just get this table, the details for this. So details, I get the full name by copying it from here, the table ID, and then what I'll do is I'll paste this in here. So I'm going to create a new table, and I'll just call it temp on the end. And I'm pretty sure my table doesn't have a date field, but I'll just go and double check. Look at the schema. Okay, date is what I want. So this is create or replace table. So this one doesn't actually exist, so it's going to make a new one. That's how we can test after to make sure it works. Just add a partition just because why not? And it's going to select all the rows from there. What I will do actually is I'll just do this. I'll add a field that says the timestamp or the date time of what it was inserted at. So I think it's date time, and I'm in Australia, so I'll keep it Australia. Actually, let me just make sure this works. So what I can do just to double check is I can copy this over to BigQuery, and it'll let me know if there's any syntax errors in the code. Create table columns must be named. I'm pretty sure this should still work actually. Column 5 has no name. Okay, because I didn't do this. I didn't give it an alias. Okay. So I'll just head over back to the cloud function. I'll just, okay. Great, so I think that should work now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy this. And normally that takes a couple of seconds. So what I'll do while that's waiting is I will set up the schedule for that. Scheduler. So let's find that tool. Actually, and what I'll do, trigger, I'll go over to here because I think I'll need that URL later for the trigger. So in this cloud scheduler, this is going to create the schedule. So depending on how often you want this to run, in cloud scheduler is where you'll decide where you define what the schedule is. So I'll just create a new one here. So create job. I'll give it a name. I'll say every day at 10 AM test. The region can stay the same. The frequency, okay. So this can be on a cron schedule. So I want it to be 0 hour, 0th minute every the 10th hour of the day. Okay. So 10, a time zone. So you can set this to whichever time zone you want it to be. So I'm choosing Australia. And then, so it runs at 10 AM Australia time. So this tells it the time, and then you need to set the time zone. I'm just going to continue. Target type HTTP, and this is where we go and get this URL from the cloud function. I'll just copy that. Here's the URL. So post HTTP method can stay the same, nothing in the body. But what I can do, because we selected require authentication, I need this to be authenticated. So I'm gonna say OIDC token, and the permissions it's going to try and use are a compute service engine service account. I'm going to say they can try reach up to 3 times if it fails. And create. Okay, so I've deployed the cloud function with running this code. So what should happen? I'm just going to delete this, just so to double check. I'm going to refresh the contents here. Okay, so what this is doing, when this runs, I should have a new table called daily stock price temp created in BigQuery, and the trigger, the reason we require authentication is just so not just anyone can trigger this cloud function by pinging this URL. If I go over to here, it was the everyday at 10 a.m. test. So what I can do is I can come over here, and to make sure it's all wired up properly, actions, force run. That should be a couple of seconds before that loads, and that's going to trigger this. In the source, when this runs, it will print the query. And where does that print go? I can go over here into the logs, and if this is all correct, the log should populate with a line that is telling me what the query is that ran. Okay, create or replace table. That's pretty much looks like the query. Let me just refresh this. So it says has not run yet, and then it says a success. I can see the logs in the Cloud Function logs, and in BigQuery, if I come over here and I refresh content, I have a daily stock price temp table. Let me just check out the details here. Okay, they look like the columns that I chose. Details, okay, looks like it's just been created. And if I go to preview, just to see what the data actually looks like, yeah, that all looks right, and it tells me what time that column was done. So perfect, there we have it. We've set up a Google Cloud Run function that executes some Python code to run a query in BigQuery, and we've scheduled that task to run every day at 10 a.m. and we just proved it works. Thanks all. Bye bye.